What an episode. The fourth episode for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is out now, and the show just continues to shock me. I was so excited for this episode. As I've said many times, this was my most anticipated MCU show, and it's really paying off so far. This episode was, in my opinion, the best one yet, and as always, spoiler warning because there's so much to talk about here. So it opens up in Wakanda, and here we see Bucky, but it's like a flashback. I think it said 6 years prior, although that could have happened later on the episode, whatever. It happened years ago, and it's a flashback of him, and they're testing out if he still is the Winter Soldier inside. So they're using the trigger words, and then Sebastian Stan shows why he is Bucky Barnes here, because you just see the tears go down his eyes, and then she says, "You're free," and he kind of smiles, and it is absolutely heartbreaking, but at the same time, really, really beautiful. It was an incredible opening. And then what I really love about the show too is that it picks up right where the last one left off. It's basically like a 6-hour movie. Like, you could sit down and watch this all and it just could keep going and you wouldn't be lost, because it picks up straight, Bucky sees one of the Wakanda people. I don't remember what her name is. I forgot it last time and I know I couldn't pronounce it, so I apologize for that. And then they talk and she says, "You have 8 hours," I think it is, and then she leaves. They go back and then there's some stuff with Zemo, and then he gives like Turkish Delight, which gave me like flashbacks to like grade 5 for me, which is funny because the Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, like Narnia, that's what I remember it from, which is just ironic. And then we kind of see Zemo pull some stuff here when he goes to those kids to figure out about the funeral, and then he sets down the Turkish Delight and he's talking to that girl, and then he says, "You see those 2 men back there? They're bad men." And I was just like, whoa, what is he trying to do here? But then they get the information for this funeral that obviously has to do with Carly and all the Flag Smashers, and yes, I remembered her name this time, so that's good. I'm not going to cover everything, of course, but I'm just going to cover whatever I remember or feel like talking about, although this episode was phenomenal. I basically remember everything. But then John Walker and Lamar, I think that's his name, right? Yep. They meet up with Bucky, Zemo, and Sam on the way to the funeral, and they're like, oh god, like, they don't want John Walker and Lamar to go with them, especially because of John Walker. And then they make a deal that Sam just goes in there to talk to Carly, and as Carly's talking at this funeral, then she looks up and she sees Sam walk in, and you see her kind of get nervous, and then she starts walking around and she starts really making this more of a speech to everyone there who's attending the funeral. And then John Walker handcuffs Zemo to like a wheel kind of thing that's just, you can turn it, whatever. That's how a wheel works, yeah. And you can see that he really wants to go in there, and he's just trying to do his best, but you can tell this guy is not in the right state of mind. And what I really love about the camera work, the cinematography in this episode, is anytime we get a really big close-up of him, the camera always moves like this to tell that he's not in the right state of mind, and it's just amazing. I know the people are being absolutely insane and harsh on this guy personally, which is just fucking stupid. Honestly, it's so fucking stupid, but he is really great here because you really hate this character. But I have to give major props to Wyatt Russell here because he is really, really good. And then Sam and Carly are having like this good conversation, and you can tell that Sam is actually getting somewhere. Obviously, earlier on he said before that he had worked with ex-soldiers who were suffering like PTSD and stuff. And then as he's getting there, John Walker breaks in, and then Carly's like, "What is this?" and feels that she's been betrayed, which is fair. And you can just see the expression on Sam's face where he's just like, "What are you doing? Like, I was getting somewhere," and it's great. And then they kind of have this big action scene, really great fight, and then Zemo finds Carly and he shoots her a few times, and then we see the super soldier serum spill everywhere. And then when that happened, I was like, oh god, what is Zemo gonna do? Because there's still that side to him where you're like, is he really good here? And that's what I really love about the performance too, and just the way they write the character, the way that they shoot everything. It's just so impressive. The handheld, the kind of obviously like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, what the Russo brothers have done. And then what he does instead is that he smashes them all except one. And when he leaves and Carly leaves, John Walker goes up and he looks at it in the way he's kind of turning, and then he picks it up and puts it in his pocket. I'm like, yep, I was waiting for that to happen. And there's even some great like moments of comedy here, because there's a scene where Bucky and Zemo kind of go at each other almost, and then Sam's like, "Yeah, why are you doing this?" He's gonna do the little head tilt, and then you just see Zemo go, He just slightly tilts his head back, and it's just like little moments like that really make it special. And then, of course, some of the what is their group called? Oh my god. Okay, I can't remember exactly what they were called. I know that I was like, when I was watching the episode, I was saying it, and please tell me what it is in the comments. I said it a lot. I'm like, I know I'm gonna mispronounce this, but it's some of the people from Wakanda. They come back, and it just starts off with like whoosh. One of them throws it, and it almost hits like John Walker, because he's like, John Walker's kind of going at Sam, and he like sets the shield down. He's ready to like fight him almost, and then that scene comes in, and it's amazing. And then it gets really, really intense, and they all start fighting. And then Sam and Bucky are like kind of watching, and then Sam's like, "You gonna do something?" Bucky's like, "Yeah, good job, John. You're doing so good." And he's like, Bucky, like kind of getting on because he's just trying to piss him off more. It's an amazing action scene, and the way I'm explaining is not nearly as intense as it really is in the show. They go on, and then we kind of see them actually defeat John Walker, and then he's down and he's like, they weren't even super soldiers. And that really shows how this guy is actually kind of vulnerable in a way. I'm not saying like I feel bad for him or feel empathy for him, because I don't, but it shows that there's still that part in him. And then Lamar and John Walker, the newer Captain America, talk, and then he's like, yeah, would you take the super soldier serum if you could? And he's like, and Lamar's like, yeah, of course. And so there's that there. But then we get to the end of the episode, and this episode felt really long for me, but I mean that in the best way possible, because I never wanted it to end. And then they get into this great action scene where Carly calls Sam's sister, and then kind of threatens Sam's nephews, and then Sam and Bucky go and meet up with Carly. They start talking, and then it explodes into this great action scene, probably the best one of the episode, I would say, and it just gets crazy. Everyone's running. John Walker kind of breaks in, and they're looking around, and that's why it started, because Falcon, same thing, because they have their suits on. That's why I was saying it. He's like, oh, it's John Walker, and then, him and Carly, it's like the three of them will jump in at once, and it's really great. There's so much to talk about here. You can tell I really love this episode. And then, well, let's just talk about the thing that everyone is talking about. They released that photo of John Walker who had just like the shield down like this, and he was just kind of kneeling, and on the bottom of it there was just blood, and I was like, where is this gonna play into the episode? But then Lamar dies because Carly punches him really far, and he just hits straight. That was probably a hot angle. Hits straight into the back of the thing, and he just passes out. And then John goes up to him, because it's obviously his friend, basically his partner, right? Yeah, it was his partner, I think. And then you can see that this guy is just gonna go absolutely crazy, and he does. He chases down one guy, throws his shield, starts punching him a bunch, and then he goes and just started. It's like this incredible slow motion shot, and he just digs the shield straight into his chest. Now you only see, obviously this is not like super Tarantino-esque, but like you see enough to know what's going on. And then there's this amazing shot that kind of reminded me of Braveheart, where the victim, will say, the guy who gets killed, his hand is out, and you just see the blood come off it, and that shows enough right there. And then Sam and Bucky walk up, and they're just like, oh god, and everyone's circled around, they're all recording, and we're like, yep, we're fucked now. That's basically how they feel. And then John Walker puts the shield back on, and you just see the bottom full of all the blood, and the episode ends, and it is absolutely flawless. In my opinion, this is the best episode yet. The show just gets better and better and better as it goes along, and I'm going to give episode 4 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier a 5 out of 5. I did not expect to give any of the episodes, except maybe the finale, like a 5 out of 5, because typically the finale seems to be one of, if not the best, but I had no complaints with this episode. They really make the Flag Smashers feel more humane in a way. You don't feel like empathy towards them, but you still understand why they're doing what they're doing. And there's this, like, in the beautiful scene where Carly and Sam are first talking, and they're talking about loss, you really see everyone is just so great in the show. In my opinion, it's the best episode yet, and somehow I feel like it's even going to get better. We only have 2 episodes left, which is really sad, but I really love this show. What did you think of this episode? Tell me in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.